Yo, what's up? It's the last day of 2024 and it was very pleasant to see how Enlisted improved by a lot over the last 12 months. But there's still much more to improve because there are significant problems going on in Enlisted and there are also very great opportunities to make the game better. And not only better, but actually an extremely good game that can become a worldwide leading game with hundreds of thousands of players. So, here are the 5 ways to improve the game and make it the best World War II shooter game in the world. First, the most natural improvement for a game with a small player base that desperately needs to grow is to make the game more beginner friendly. And this is one of the biggest problems of Enlisted. It's simply not beginner friendly. It's actually anti-beginner. And it was so bad that the game was for many years in the decline. When the game started, it had hundreds of thousands of players, and then it dropped down to a few 10,000. Because it was just after the initial hype, it became clear that many players were disillusioned by many bad parts of the game, but the game also couldn't get any new players because for all of the reasons, most importantly, it's just too confusing. The game doesn't help new players understand the game. Many core aspects of the game don't work for new players, for example, not having access to engineers or APCs, and also the horrible imbalance of matches. Now, among many problems, I will address some of them later, is the most important one that new players cannot build rally points or use APCs. This is, as every Enlisted player who played the game for a while knows, the absolute centerpiece of Enlisted. You want to influence the speed and the distance at which you spawn on the map. Because if you cannot do that, you will be forced to spawn 200 meters away, and then you don't have Enlisted, then you have a running simulator. And no one likes running simulators, especially not new players who will constantly get shot very early on in their games. And there is nothing worse than being wiped by an explosion by a tank or a plane, and then being spawned 200 meters away, and also being forced to wait 10 seconds to do so. Yeah, guess why Hell Let Loose is struggling? Yeah, because it's even much worse in this regard than Enlisted. So here's how the problem can be solved. And this solution is a template for every other solution here. All solutions I'm proposing are easy and simple to implement. Why? Because for over 2 years experience I can tell you, if a solution is not easy and simple to implement, the very low competence team working on Enlisted will not implement them. So you always have to keep that in mind. There's a significant nerve on coding and work productivity that we have to factor in to our solutions. So since the tech tree system for every nation doesn't start with engineers, you cannot just let them start with engineers instead of the obviously misplaced snipers. It would require too many changes that would create infinite bugs. So this is out of question, but there's a very simple solution. Give new players free engineers, like free gold order soldiers, but specifically engineers. My recommendation is, once a new player wins his first game, of course you need to give him a reward. I don't know if Enlisted does it, but there are actually stupidly made games who don't reward new players for winning, but exactly this is what you do to motivate players to keep on playing. This is a basic game design. So the first win should give a new player an engineer. I recommend a gold order engineer. Engineer once obviously, so players can quickly level them up and unlock everything, that are also completely equipped, meaning that come with a grenade, with an axe, with a flask, weapon, and so on. So this is the absolute minimum. And also do this after the possibly 5th or 3rd game, so they get 2 free engineers. And that's it, that's all they need. Then they're perfectly prepared. By the way, you can see that the person working on this type of game balance doesn't understand the game by the fact that you can buy beginner packs. First of all, these beginner packs are horrendously badly designed. Basically, no one's buying them because they're just bad, unless they're for 50% sale, because then they actually make sense, because they're a way to get free, to get very cheap gold. But they give you, for example, a medic. Now, why the hell do you need a medic in the beginning? As a beginner, you need an engineer. This would have been the most obvious nut dump decision to make, to give new players an engineer in an easy way. So yeah, this has to be 100% implemented. Furthermore, players, especially new players, but also old players, because there are more than enough lazy bums among them, need to be reminded about having an APC or rally online at all times. This is the main problem people don't do, and this is what ruins games, and what ruins fun, and also what ruins social cohesion. Because good, responsible players who do this do not want to play together with lazy, egoistical players who don't do this. And this creates a divide among the player base, and creates, of course, distrust, and just makes the game very unfun. And also leads, among other problems, to people stacking up and playing only among each other, which also increases imbalance, because now you have the random teams full of either egoistical or lazy players, or just players who don't even know, because they don't get any notifications about this during the battle, and the stack teams. And then the stack teams just push with 4 APCs non-stop, and the game ends in 10 minutes, and no one has fun. And these types of games are just very, well, not fun, not really, not skilled. They're completely unskilled, and they're also just not good for the health of the game. So the game needs to implement real-time notifications and constant reminders during gaming loading screens, or also in the menu, about having APCs or rallies up. Yes, this sounds like a very basic thing, but we have the data of 4 years of Enlisted that people don't fucking build rallies. And we also have the data that without rallies the game doesn't work. So it's really boring to repeat this every single year, but the Enlisted needs to fucking solve the rally point problem, and nothing is being done about it. Now, I have a very good solution later on for this that would improve it too, but without information, without notifications, this will never change. So this is important. And then a very positive thing finally to talk about: game resources. Yes, what is this? Well, when new players find a new game, they're very interested in the game, hopefully, and then they want to learn about the game. And if they see, oh, I'm playing a shooter game with many maps, a 4-year-old shooter game with many dozens of maps around the whole world, I would like to see what maps the game has, and I would like to look at the maps, like to get big JPEG files, like multiple dozens of megabytes big, so I can zoom in and learn the map, or just simply enjoy the aesthetics of the map. This would be good, right? Okay, let's find the maps of Enlisted. Oh fuck, I can't, because there's since 4 years still no fucking central resource, or not even a fandom page. By the way, how do you see that something is small, that a game isn't really successful? It doesn't have a good fandom page. I'm trying to use it since I started playing the game. There's simply nothing there. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, and the information that is there is like 3-4 years old from the pre-merge campaign system. Yeah, so, oh my god. So yeah, this is the easiest thing to do. Absolute essential game resources. What does it mean? Every single map needs to be there in big, high-resolution image files. The maps themselves, then the maps with all the possible objectives in all game modes, and with the spawn locations. So players can start having fun and see, oh, now I know where I'm spawning, where the enemies are spawning. Let me develop some strategies. Guess what this is called? It's called engagement. What is engagement? One of the most important metrics for success in social media and multiplayer games. Yes, but apparently this is high sorcery for people working on Enlisted, because there's simply nothing that creates engagement. Yeah, so this has to be there. Also, every single weapon, since we're talking about a shooter game, has to be completely explained. Meaning every single data point that defines the game in the code has to be there. currently there's still data missing. For example, aiming speed is missing. Well, again, obviously, it took, by the way, almost 4 years for the game to add things like recoil control and running speed penalty. There were literally machine guns that had different running speed penalties in the game for years, and people couldn't know it. They didn't know if it slows you down like a normal machine gun or it slows you down less. And no, you couldn't logically deduce it by looking at how heavy it is. No, it's just so this is completely stupid. And most importantly, even these types of data for tanks and planes, because guess what are the few real aspects that bring Enlisted over other games of the genre? No, it's not really the squad system. The squad system isn't really existent in this game because the squad system needs to be improved too. No, it's the combined arms warfare. No other game has infantry and planes and tanks properly combined. This is the core USP, unique selling proposition of Enlisted. This is what the game needs to maximize, because this is the only thing that makes this game worth playing above other similar things. For example, I tried Hell Let Loose, the game that allegedly is a realistic World War II game. Fuck no, it isn't. If your tanks are using 25-year-old damage models, and if you have tanks in the game but no planes, then you're not a realistic war game. Like, what the fuck? You absolutely have to have the rock paper scissors system of infantry, tanks, and planes. If one is missing, you have an imbalanced, unrealistic as fuck game, and this is one of the many problems. So this is absolutely important for Enlisted. But new players don't know how tanks work because they don't know, for example, how fast the cannon of a tank shoots or how really effective the armor is. Because the armor thickness itself isn't the final decider that makes your tank survive a hit or not. So there needs to be more data available, especially penetration of your cannon, type of ammunition, and how fast it shoots. All of this is not in the files, and you need something like a wiki where you can check everything up and just click around and instantly see it. Also with good pictures so people have fun looking at this for hours at night. This is what makes a game successful, especially for new players. Then the same for planes. Well, guess what? Okay, let's put it this way. Now, since like literally 1 week or 2 weeks, we have the new bomb update, and we now can release and drop our bombs separately. Okay. Now we can somehow think about it, but still there's other information about planes missing. For example, how does the plane look from all directions? How can I see how's the armor of the plane, where are the soft spots, where the fuel tanks, how well is the pilot protected? So I know if I shoot at an enemy plane, should I shoot at the pilot cockpit itself or should I shoot at the wings? Yeah, so all data like this needs to be there. So yeah, resource page for Enlisted, absolutely essential, very fun, and it's not even that work intensive. Because if there's some smart competent coder, he can code it in a way that most of this data will be automatically extracted from the game and posted into a template, and then you just need one person who just fixes up all of the bugs, and all the bugs means missing parts by hand. Yep, it will cost a couple dozen hours of work, but guess what? It's one of the best investments you can have in the game. So yeah, this is the final point to make the game more beginner friendly. And now let's go into the advanced points, meaning first, game balance. If you put yourself through the ordeal of reading Enlisted social media on a weekly basis, you will see that there are multiple posts every couple days about how the game has horrible game balance, how people want matchmaking, but then they instantly get minus 50 downvotes because they dare to use the word matchmaking because there are lots of nerds afraid of matchmaking, and stupid discussions like these. What is the essence of this? Well, the essence is the game has horrible matchmaking, meaning matches are most of the time imbalanced and not fun to play. This is absolutely horrible. The only balanced matches that you get are, ironically enough, your first something like 5 matches or 3 matches where you're put against bots or maybe other players who play for the first time, and that's it. These are the only normal enlisted games you will ever play. The rest is, well, if you get lucky, you have your standard distribution. You get into good games or even perfectly balanced games or games where the enemy team is slightly better than yours, so you have a nice challenge, alright. But oftentimes it will be the other extreme. You're playing against absolutely overstacked teams, or you just play against an above average enemy team, but your team is dumb as fuck. Or your team is full of lazy tards who don't build rallies, as we already explained, which is a big problem. Now, how do you solve this? Now, the biggest problem currently, and this is a growing problem within the community, is stacking. What do Sweat Lords do? They don't play alone most of the time. They most often play in stacks of 4 players. Now, is this good for game balance? No. Is this good for the game itself? Absolutely no, because this creates insanely imbalanced games that you cannot win. And the problem is they do not play like a normal game. Because if the team balance is highly skewed towards one side, you get no proper defense set up because you get rushed too quickly. Or if you're on the offense and the defenders have a stack, well, guess what? They will constantly counterattack you and you won't be able to leave your spawn area, although you are on the attacker team. Yeah, so this is completely stupid. And it's something that needs to be solved, because there's no way the game can grow if new players will regularly get the experience of stupid stacked games like this. Now, what's the solution? Well, first of all, if the player base was more mature, less people would do this, because not a single mature, respectable player I know likes playing in big stacks, because it's simply boring, it's completely unskilled. And it's not like Enlisted, because there's no fun in a game that ends after a few minutes and where the enemies can't fight back. So, but this obviously is just highly theoretical, since, well, you cannot expect the player base of a game that's free to play to be mature, since mostly like 15, 18-year-old players will play the game. Now, what's the better solution? Well, having a system that separates stacks from normal players. And this is what I recommend here. Make a distinction of having normal games or normal players. Normal players are players who queue by themselves or in a 2-stack. 2 stacks are fine. Why? Because they don't disrupt the balance of matches. And they're good, obviously, for social playing. If you want to have fun, it's much more fun to play together with one other person than playing alone. Also, they're great for learning the game. Yeah, guess what? If you're a new player, you're going to learn the game much faster if you play together with someone else. So 2 stacks are fine. So normal single player and 2 stacks are the normal way to play. And everything that's a 3 or 4 stack or higher, possibly in the future, needs to be separated. And then this is what's going to be done. The normal players, they are queuing normally, and the stacks get put into a queue where they either get put only against each other, or, since there's not that many stacks, or more precisely said, since the player base isn't that big, and you cannot expect to always perfectly match stacks against stacks, you get a maximum waiting time of 2 minutes. And after that, they are thrown into matches which are as stacked as possible, and then the rest is filled up with either bots or normal players. Possibly it would make sense to fill it up with bots. Now, what would this create? Well, 2 things. 2 important improvements. A, normal players would not be annoyed by stacks anymore. And B, it highly incentivizes people to play in big stacks. Because Sweat Lords won't want to wait 2 minutes. So this solves the problem very elegantly. There's a third option, by the way. People who like to play in stacks would go and play custom games instead. Now this is the best way, because guess what? Now there's not even a single chance anymore that normal players have to play against techs, because all of the sweat lords will play in their own custom games. And this way you perfectly separate the two types of players. So yeah, this absolutely has to be implemented, if not this way, by some other way, but it's just way overdue to solve the problem of imbalanced games. Then something I've read a couple days ago, someone recommended, I think on Reddit, to separate BR1 from the other BRs. Because currently, BR1 players can play either with BR1 or BR2, which is a strong improvement over what was the case 6 months ago, where BR1 could play with BR1, 2, and 3, which was absolutely retarded, since it's completely impossible to defeat BR3 players as a BR1 player, especially if you're new. It's completely ridiculous. The equipment is just completely imbalanced, so that was an improvement. But guess what? The game had a good growth since then, especially since the second attempt at the Steam release finally worked, because it was way less stupidly managed than before. But now this is what people need to understand. A successful game means a growing game. A growing game is equivalent to constantly new players who don't understand the game, who have low-level equipment, who don't play well, and guess what? You have to take all of this into account. Because if you create games where these types of players are playing against old players, they won't have fun. Because the games will be completely imbalanced. And a growing Enlisted means a very big BR1 segment of the player base. And BR1's equipment, especially not optimized one, is absolutely unplayable against BR2. The tanks start becoming horribly dominant on BR2 compared to BR1 tanks. And if a new player doesn't know how to perfectly play the perfect one tank, or how to perfectly play a plane, which he won't, since we learned 10 minutes ago that new players don't have any help by Enlisted to learn planes, guess what? They will just constantly lose against random tanking. And other things too. So yeah, I think the recommendation was great. Just separate BR1 into its own. And then Enlisted would have 4 queues. First the BR1 queue, which is by the way also great for old veteran players, because you can build very good, cool, very nicely slow-paced BR1 armies and just have pure bolt action gaming. This would, by the way, also give Enlisted a nice, unique identity. Would also want historically accurate World War II gaming. Guess what? Most soldiers used bolt actions. Yes, even the Soviets, who had whole SMG companies, the majority still used bolt actions. Yeah, and especially the Germans. Yeah, so yeah, it's absolutely time to make BR1 its own BR. And the 4 BR queues would be BR1, then BR2 and BR2 thrown together. Obviously, if you can find 20 players of just exactly one BR, the queue system already combines them. Yeah, but you need to have flexibility if there's not enough players queuing to quickly fire and start games. So BR2 and BR3 would be still together as right now. And then BR3 and 4 and BR4 and 5. This is exactly the current system, just with BR1 separated. Alright, and we would like to see some kind of balancing system. There were many systems proposed, skill-based matchmaking, stuff like that. I think if the changes I propose in this video are implemented, we don't even need additional methods of matchmaking, because the game will be already balanced directly and indirectly through all of the other measures. And yeah, this is an elegant way to solve further problems. Then let's address the problem of game design aspects that are just unnecessarily annoying. Because there are many annoying things left in the game, and here are the 4 most annoying ones. First, the carrier system from the Pacific, where most Japanese and some American planes start on carriers. Now, what's so bad about it? Well, first of all, it's extremely annoying. No one wants to start a game by having to take off for 15 seconds and then fly around for 30 seconds just to reach the target with a BR2 plane that barely can impact the objective. Yeah, this is absolutely stupid and annoying. In general, because there's some people, obviously not on my channel, because I have the high quality people on my channel, thankfully to you, but other players who would need to listen to this, I've seen people in the Enlisted community don't seem to understand that annoying features are bad. Being annoyed as a customer of a game is fucking bad. And it's low quality, failing game design if your game has annoying features. And this stupid takeoff is just fucking annoying. And it's also extremely complicated for new players. Guess what? I had to learn it myself, although being one of the best pilots in the world, because it's actually complicated, and depending on the plane you're taking off, you need to understand or know how you position how low you go, how deep you dive your nose, because depending on how your propeller is and how your gears, you can either shred your propeller or not. But you want to go as slow as possible to be able to take off faster. And all of this is nowhere explained. And no, it's not skillful, as some would claim, to learn all of this. No, it's literally stupid complexity. This is a concept of game design. Stupid complexity. There's good, smart complexity. For example, dogfighting planes. This is smart complexity. You can use all the knowledge about planes to get better than your enemy. But taking off a carrier with all of these details that the game doesn't even explain you, because you have to crash land a couple of times to learn your propeller distance to the ground. Yeah, this is stupid complexity, and it's just fucking bad. So this has to be removed. Obviously, carriers can stay for repair reasons and for optical reasons. Also to just save work, so you don't have to rework the maps. And also they're good gray zone protection because they have big cannons. And if the enemies fly too close, they get shot down instantly. Yeah, that's cool, but everything that forces you is bad. So yeah, they have to be removed. Also, they create horrible imbalance because most American planes are already better than the Japanese planes. And most of them don't start on carriers. But the Japanese planes do. Now guess what this means? Japanese planes are literally unplayable. Because they take twice the time to reach the first objective than the American planes most often. Which means you're just a completely useless player if you're playing planes as a Japanese like this. So this is absolutely horrible. Absolutely unfair. And the Japanese are already the weakest faction in the game and struggle heavily against Americans. Now the next three problems are very short and simple, and they all relate to engineers. First of all, the rally point building time is 12.5 seconds. We are in the year 2025, the year of low attention span zoomers with broccoli haircuts. Do you think a generation that was raised on Fortnite and Monster drinks and psychopharmaca subscriptions will spend 12.5 seconds to build the rally 5 times per game? Of course fucking not. Like, not even 40-year-old nerds who played shooter games for the last 30 years most often do this. Most often definitely don't do this. So this is the biggest problem. It's just stupidly long, once again, annoying, unnecessary annoyance. Why the fuck should a player wait 2.5 seconds? Now the smart solution reduces it to 3 seconds. This means a normal engineer builds it in 3 seconds and an engineer with building speed builds it in 2. Also, it's very easy and fast to code. You literally just change one metric in the code. That's 15 seconds of work. And there are absolutely no bugs to be expected from this. Then, engineers, if you have an engineer in your squad and you want to place something, let's say you want to place a rally, currently you have to wait with your fucking engineer and hammer yourself manually the rally for the 12.5 seconds as we just noticed. Guess what? This is bad game design. Why the fuck, if you call yourself a squad game, do you have to wait with your one soldier instead of being able to just let him build and you switch to the next soldier and you can actually play with your whole squad by leading your squad to the next point or to the objective or start fighting while your engineer builds for himself. Now, this is like the minimum AI that can be expected from a game that's released after 1999. Yeah, so this has to be instantly changed. The engineers need to, whenever you play something, and you switch to the next soldier, you need to complete it manually. This is just an obvious omission from the game that wasn't implemented yet, and it absolutely has to be implemented. And then the last stupid thing that has to be removed from the game: if you did all this work, if you're a highly responsible citizen and you build your rallies and you place your APCs, what happens during an average enlisted game? Exactly, you have to wait fucking 10 seconds until you can spawn. Why? Because someone else who most likely, and this is mathematically precise, most likely didn't build a rally or APC, spawns before you. Now, what the fuck is this? Most people rightfully say. This is highly stupid, highly annoying, and highly, once again, social cohesion breaking, because people think, what the fuck? I did all the work, I did everything right, I'm the best person and human in this team, and then some lazy fuck is spawning before me? This is completely stupid. This is literally Yuri Bezmenov demoralization tactics applied by our favorite gopniks, the enlisted coders. Yep, we need to stop this, and people need to get an absolute 100% spawn priority on their own stuff. That also negates, well, you could possibly negate a 10 seconds waiting time, but yeah, it should be that whenever someone else would spawn, you just spawn instead. You should never wait on your APC on your ready. And now let's go to the best parts of the video, the positive parts, because I'm tired of ranting about all the nonsense. First of all, how can we improve the game with direct injections of positivity? Adding on to the squad system already described, it absolutely needs to be improved. Meaning the squads you're leading in your army need to feel like they're real squads of soldiers, like they're real individual soldiers, and like you're their commander, and not like some soulless bots who run around you. There were games from 20 years ago who were already single player games with squads, and these squads literally had better AI, better AI, I think it was Medal of Honor something, than the current enlisted system. Now, what's the problem? Well, you cannot customize their behavior. There is a way, which is quite complicated to find, which is the reason why basically, I would be surprised if even 10% of enlisted players know where it is. You can, and I also don't know inside out where it is, I always have to find it myself once again in the game. If you click, you can change two aspects of your squad behavior. A, aggression, meaning how aggressively your soldiers engage enemies, and B, their formation. Now, formation is obviously the most confusing word ever, because it's not formation, it's not how they stand next to each other. It should be called distance, because this metric defines how far away your soldiers, if you order them to wait, stand away from you and keep distance. And if this distance is big, you can get further away from them without them starting running towards you. And if it's small, then, well, you go like 10-15 meters away from them and they start disobeying and start following you, which is obviously also annoying. So the game needs to implement ways to more realistically, or first of all, for your soldiers to behave more realistic, and B, to be able to customize their behavior. Now, this needs to be done within the game menu, not within the fucking game, during the game where everything is hectic and you don't have time. It needs to be done, obviously, in the game menu, where you have all the time in the world, where you can think about things, yeah? I don't know who had the idea to toggle behavior like this during the game, instead of the main menu. Like, this already is quite stupid, but yeah, you want the ability to have like an overall global behavior setting, for example, aggression and distance, but also soldier specific for every single soldier. Now, this obviously is not hard to do. It's not complicated, yeah, to implement, that you can, for every single soldier, change it. For example, if you have a squad, the squad has a radio man. You obviously want the radio man to survive, because his only work is to call artillery strikes every 4 minutes. So he needs to stay the fuck back somewhere in the gray zone or in a house and hide and survive. All right, you would modify his behavior to be as defensive and as passive as possible. But you also have a sniper. Now guess what? A sniper you would want to order to sit somewhere and stand somewhere back, but also engage enemies and snipe with his improved range. Okay? And then you have someone like Assaulter. Well, he would have the exact opposite behavior, optimally. Him you would order to run around, always to the action, and just instantly start shooting at everything he sees. Currently you can't do this because they all are behaving the same way, which is obviously nonsensical. So yeah, this has to be changed. Absolutely. Also would make the game look instantly more high quality and especially distinct the game from other games, because no game to my knowledge has this. And this is obviously something that I play a role-playing game from time to time, Baldur's Gate 2, one of the best games ever made. The game is, I think, 26 years old, and even that game lets you customize individually for every single of your 6 characters how they behave. If a 26-year-old game can do this, Enlisted can also let me customize how my 7 soldiers in my squad behave differently, yeah? Very, very easily expected. Then, a simple, well, quite simple change, and this is something that Enlisted actually has a competent person, the graphics. Now, what is so interesting about Enlisted graphics? They are good and bad at the same time. Why are they good? A, they're quite well optimized, better than most games nowadays. That's great. And B, they look quite good relative to the low performance demands they have. Like relative to the low requirements, they look quite good. So this game is obviously as a free-to-play game catered at low performance computers and consoles, which are by definition low to mid performance. So yeah, this is quite good, but there's one, well, obviously you still want some high performance qualities, graphics too, added in the game. This could be a thing, but this would require quite a lot of work. But there's one simple way to instantly improve the game, graphics, with quite a few work, and it's adding filters to the game. Why? Because when I played Hell Let Loose for a short time, before I rage uninstalled it, the only one thing I noticed Hell Let Loose is better at than Enlisted is the graphics, because the color schemes look realistic. The color palette looks exactly like it looks in real life. When it's evening, oh, guess what? There's evening and night in Hell Let Loose, which Enlisted also fucking lacks, so give us fucking night and evening. But when there's evening, it becomes shadowy and darker, and everything gets adequately dimmed. When it's bright sunlight, everything looks, well, friendlier and lighter. And if it's snowy, the snow landscape, so for example, Kursk, I think, or some Russian stuff, completely covered with snow. The only thing you see are some random trees and some very thin and high yellow grass sticking out of the snow sometimes. But that's it. Besides that, all you see is snow and some shadows. And this looks extremely not just realistic, but also immersive. Enlisted completely fucks this up. Enlisted barely has real snow. Enlisted only has 2 snow maps, and it's Fortified District and Mountain Pass, which are 2 of the best maps in the game. Guess why? Because they're real snow maps. They feel like a real snow environment. And this is fucking rare in the game. Now, if this game is like half of the game content is basically Eastern Front, but there's barely any snow. And no, people don't want, especially not new players, don't want to see fucking summer Soviet campaign. You can have summer in Normandy and in Tunisia, and in the Pacific and in Burma, you can literally have summer everywhere else. So you need snow in the Eastern Russian Soviet front. But you barely get it. And here's the other problem. Many maps just look like comic childish Fortnite bullshit with very bright colors. And it looks like some 15-year-old tried out Instagram for the first time and just put on the brightest filters he could find. Now, this this looks completely unrealistic and it's completely unnecessary. And guess what? I tried out roughly 1 year ago NVIDIA graphics settings filters to make the game look more realistic, and guess what? I actually could turn the whole Enlisted game with a filter on the card, making it look highly photorealistic simply because the color scheme got toned down from childish comic colors to more realistic dimmed colors and better lighting. That's it. The problem is I can't use this in real games because the pictures that are calculated by the graphic cards have to be calculated once again. And this cut my FPS almost in half. And yeah, obviously I can't play like this, so no, these filters are not a viable solution if you put them on top of the game, but they're a very very viable solution for the Enlisted game coders or developers themselves, because they can just implement them within the game and then there's no double calculation required. So this would bring the game instantly into another stratosphere of quality, because it would be the same requirements. Every single small console or small computer could still run the game, but it would look much better. So let players choose fucking color filters. It's once again 2025. There's no way in hell a game can get away without letting players choose the color filters they want to play in. And then, last thing, vegetation. Regarding graphics, I've seen a really good custom map, which, well, wasn't good for playing, but it looked amazingly nice. Why? It was a little piece of jungle, and it was full with plants. There were all types of plants. You could barely walk on grass because there was stuff everywhere, and it looked like a real jungle. It had even shadows. Now guess what? There's lots of shadow in a jungle because there are trees there, there are plants everywhere, and there are leaves everywhere who throw constant shadows. This looked amazing. This looked absolutely beautiful and realistic, and it looked like a high quality game. In Enlisted, there's no such thing like that because for some reason, the person making the maps thinks that too much grass is bad or too much stuff sticking out is bad. No, everything needs to look. Just look at the first Ardennes offensive map. Look at Hürtgen Forest, which is not looking anything like Hürtgen Forest in real life, and you will see vast fields which are sometimes covered in snow, sometimes not, which is completely unrealistic, meteorologically speaking. But then also you have this boring yellow ground with a few grass sticking out. Now, this is not how nature looks like. This is literally graphics from 2005. Like, there needs to be grass everywhere. Yes, I know it's hard on the performance, but guess what? This is exactly what... This is the thing. There has to be compromises made, and I recommend every new map, because obviously they will be too lazy to rework old maps. Every new map needs to be built in a realistic way to depict nature how it is. I received the biggest disappointment seeing the farm map on Normandy. I forgot what the name is, the one of the windmills. There are multiple wheat fields, and the wheat fields are literally something like 2,000 copy-pasted wheat things sticking out of the ground. They look literally all the same. It looks like fucking Minecraft. Like, what the fuck? How can you do this and not expect to be embarrassing yourself? Yeah, so yeah, this has to be step 2. And the last improvement for the game is to finally add customization. Why add, you say? Well, because we can't call what we have right now real customization. First of all, the units have their, well, you can put uniforms on your soldiers. You can even click to make the whole unit the same uniform. Wow, this took also, I think, 3 years, but okay. But here's the biggest problem. The uniforms all look fucking bad and completely unrealistic. First of all soldiers in your army apparently are recruits, because they don't even have the first private rank insignia. Yes, they're all recruits, but wait, they're not even real recruits, because recruits have the weapon type always depicted. So are you an artillerist? Are you a tanker? Are you just basic infantry or special whatever? Not even that. And you allegedly have paratroopers in the game, but the paratroopers oftentimes don't even have, well, Air Force uniforms or paratrooper uniforms. Like, stuff like that. Like, this is horrible. Give people fucking rank insignia and unit insignia. Like, this is also absolutely stupid, especially from a marketing standpoint, because guess what? Customization is what brings the most money, especially for free-to-play games. No, not selling squads that most people won't buy. No, customization. This is what makes people hooked to your game and what people love. I would throw away tons of money if I could customize my soldiers beautifully. But I can't. I fucking can't even give Gaijin my money because they don't give me things to buy. This is absolutely stupid. This has to be changed. Absolutely. Also, vehicle customization. It's horribly stupid. If you buy a few bushes, first of all, you cannot customize your vehicles realistically, because take any picture, so for World War II, especially hidden tank destroyers that had to be hidden, because tank destroyers were mostly passive weapons. Try to find any picture of a stack that was in combat. You will oftentimes find stacks that were very perfectly covered with leaves and other things to hide him in the forest. Guess what? You cannot do this in Enlisted, because you're limited to 2 random looking bushes. Why? Let people put on as many bushes they fucking want. And no, this won't create game balance issues, because already using 2 bushes heavily interferes with your optics. And you have to spend usually 5 to 10 minutes rotating your bushes around so you don't cover your optics. So no, people won't just put 100 bushes on their tanks and become invisible. Yeah, like this apparently works in a stupid game like War Thunder, where you don't have a realistic view through the optics, where you look through third person, which obviously is complete nonsense for tanks, but okay. Yeah, there you can cover your tanks in 1 trillion bushes and become invisible, but not in Enlisted. So let players fucking put on as many bushes as they want. Also as many insignia stuff as they want. And also add the filter option that you can click on so you don't see enemy customization. Why? Because then people will stop complaining about, oh no, I don't like if people put 5 numbers on the tanks, because in real life tanks could only have 4 numbers. Yeah, complainers like these constantly down talk any type of improvement with stupid dumb fuck complaints like this. So no, give for everything, for every customization, implement a filter. So snowflakes who constantly whine and complain can just click on the filter and not see any customization. Yeah? Yeah, so very simple. Very simple. If My Little Pony customization and other games can be handled this way, then also Nonsense and Enlisted can be handled this way. It's not a problem. And the customization needs to be reasonably priced. Why? Let's say I buy something like 6 to 7 bushes, which is quite realistic for a tank to completely cover my stack, okay? Now, this will cost me something like 20 euros or $20, which is ridiculously overpriced. You know what's the biggest joke is? Now, congratulations, you can put these 6 bushes on 1 tank, and that's it. If you want to put bushes on another tank, you have to remove them from this 1 tank to put them on another tank. Now, how fucking retarded is this? Do you expect any player to spend fucking $100 so he can decorate 5 tanks? Like, this is nonsense. If you buy 1 bush, it needs to be applicable on every tank in your army. This will actually make people buy your customizations. Right now, customization is ridiculously stupidly overpriced. I didn't even know this because the first thing I did was, I think more than 1 year ago, even before the merge, I wanted to just start putting stuff on tanks because I saw some cool pictures from War Thunder, and I didn't know the limitations back then, meaning I expected I can literally decorate a tank as I saw in the War Thunder pictures. Now, Problem is, I started buying bushes and I saw, damn, I can't put a second bush on it. Fuck. And then when I wanted to decorate another tank, I noticed, wait, I have to buy all the stuff again. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is when I won't buy any customization for Enlisted. This is just fucking retarded. And this is how, by the way, how basically every player views it. So yeah, fucking change the customization prices and the way you buy stuff and how often you can use it. And people will spend a lot of money. And now the last, final point, and this is an easy and short one, maps. Enlisted needs more maps. Or more specifically, better maps. Because right now, Enlisted has dozens of maps. Problem is, once again, standard distribution. Most of these maps will be average at best. Well, 50, most of them will be average at best to bad. And people don't like that. Why the fuck should people play average maps if there are good maps? Yes, variety is an argument, but a game that is 4 years old and has dozens of maps, actually hundreds of maps, because every game mode changes the map, obviously. So you have hundreds of maps to choose from. There's absolutely no logical reason why people should be forced to play the bad stuff. What you do is you remove the shit, you remove the bad things, the low quality, the average stuff, and only let players play the good stuff. Now, I won't go into detail how to decide what's good and not. This would be like a 1 hour discussion. But the easiest way to solve this is to, guess what? Freedom of choice. Yes, that's a concept that some people apparently have trouble grasping. Let players decide what they want. Because this is not North Korea. This is a game that people choose in their free time to have fun. So let them have choices and decide for themselves and stop forcing bullshit on them. Especially most of the horrible maps that are in rotation right now. It took the game also fucking something like 2-3 years to remove the train map from the game. And I still remember when I started playing the game, the map was there. Maybe it was quite newly implemented. And it was so fucking bad, it almost made me stop playing the game. I literally wanted to uninstall because I got the map like 5 times in a row. And I thought, what the fuck is this? I just wasted 2 hours of my day being annoyed. Yeah, fuck this game. And then I noticed, I can just fucking leave the maps instantly that I don't like. And this is what kept me playing the game. Yeah, because guess what? No self-respecting adult person, or even smart self-respecting young person, will waste his time on low quality bullshit. Yeah, like low quality stupid people can waste their time on low quality stuff, but no normal reasonable person will be wasting his time on shit maps. This is once again 2025. It's not the 1990s or 1980s where you were playing fucking 2D games and you only had 2 maps and that's what you got. No, we have hundreds of maps. So we need to choose the maps we play. And here's the good thing. Enlisted this year brought, I think, 4 new maps. And the first one was bad, but then 3 maps were really, 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 really good. Very good. And they made the game much better. Guess what? The problem is, if you bring new maps to a game with already many maps, the likelihood to get this new map will be quite low after the initial phase where it's artificially inflated. So even though you may put in a lot of money and work into bringing new maps, since you already have all of these old shit maps, the effect is quite small because players are still forced to play many of the old bad maps. So yeah, the game, it's absolutely okay, by the way, if the game creates 4 new maps every year. It wouldn't be even a problem if the game only makes 3 new maps every year. It would be a bit annoying, but still it's fine. But what's the most important thing is, let players fucking choose the maps. And game modes. This is absolutely important. And yep, there's the whiners who say, the player base is so small, it will create waiting times. I constantly read posts where people say, I don't mind waiting 1 or 2 minutes if I can choose my maps. And I think this is actually a majority of the player base. Now, new players not, because they don't even know which maps the game has, as we learned in the beginning of the video. Guess what? But yeah, like older players absolutely want to choose the maps they play. mostly by just elimination of bad maps. Like, for example, eliminate, also it's perfect free data for Darkflow. Since I think the first thing they would see is people want to ban Assault from their... I would instantly ban any Assault. I don't want to play any fucking Assault. And yeah, and then they would see, oh, guess what? People don't like Assault because it's an imbalanced shit game mode. And stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, guess what? Yeah, this is the last recommendation I have. Just improve the map situation, not by necessarily adding more new maps. No, of course, we already have enough new maps, and 4 new maps every year is really good, and we can expect 4 new maps 2025, but map picking needs to be implemented. Alright, that's it. That's a long rant, but guess what? That was a long year, and we want the next year to be great. So, let me know what you think, and what your ideas are, and what your complaints are. And of course, if you're new, make sure you subscribe, and if you like this, drop a like, and share this with your nerd friends so they all are ready for Enlisted's 2025. Until next year, happy Sylvester. Goodbye.